Hi there. In this second tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create your own dictionary or glossary files to be used in Goldendict. So I'll show you how to arrange those in a spreadsheet and then how to convert them to the dict format so that they can be searched in Golden Dictionary. And then last, I'll show you, I have a set of translation memories in TMX format, and I'll show you how I converted those into a searchable format in Goldendict as well. Although this tutorial is focused on Tibetan to English translation, these techniques can be used with any language pair. So let's get started. So for example, say you have a glossary in a spreadsheet or a text file and you'd like to search it from Goldendict. Unfortunately, as far as I know, there's no way to directly search a spreadsheet from Goldendict, but I'm going to step you through, we're going to use a Python script called PyGlossary to convert from a spreadsheet into a dict format, which can be read by Goldendict. So for this example, I'll use the spreadsheet that just has 40 terms that I pulled from 84,000's cumulative glossary. Now this format, this spreadsheet has a lot of different fields. I have the main term right here in field H with the Tibetan term, but then I also have fields for the Wiley, the Sanskrit, the English, definition, the title of the text it came from, the author of that translation, and the catalog number of that text. So in order to get this into a dict format, I can actually only use two fields. So the first field is going to be the term with this Tibetan right here. And then the second field is going to be the definition, but I can combine all these fields together to add additional data to my definition using a function. And so in this example, I'm using Google Sheets. And say, for instance, in this example, I don't want all of this data. I can already read the Tibetan, so I don't need the Wiley. I can look, if I just have the catalog number, then I don't really need the title or the author. So for the sake of this example, we'll just use the Sanskrit, the English, the definition, and the catalog number. So basically, I'm going to combine that data in the next empty column K right here using a function. So in the function bar, I'll put equals to indicate that we want a function. And so I'm going to leave the Tibetan column alone because that's going to be our key column. But for our definition column, let's start with the Sanskrit term. So that's going to be, I'm using this J2 by just clicking on the cell. And then I need a separator between them. So to do a separator with a function, you just use an ampersand. And then for a separator, I use double quotes to indicate I want to use a string as a separator, and I'm just going to use a semicolon and a space. So that will create a semicolon and a space between each field. You can use whatever you want if you like an M dash or whatever, but I'm just going to use a semicolon, and I'll copy that separator because I'm going to reuse it. So we have the Sanskrit, then I want the English, put another separator. I want the definition, another separator, and let's go with the Tohoku number here. And so that's all the data I would like in my definition field. So I'll hit enter, and then this function, since it's a function, I can autofill it down through the rest of the glossary terms. And so I have my definition field here with all the definition and all the data I want to add to it. Now, since this is just a function, I need to, in order to paste this somewhere, I need to actually copy it over to the next column over. I'm just going to paste the values. So I'll go paste special, paste values only. So now, as you can see from the function bar here, this column actually has the values, while this one just has the function. So now I'll go ahead and delete these 3 columns. And so then I just have these 2 columns right next to each other with the Tibetan right here, and then the definition with all the data in the column right next to it. So now, in order to run the script on our glossary, we need to paste it into a text file. This is the format that the PyGlossary script works with. So to do that, we're just going to select both of these rows, both of these columns in our spreadsheet with the term on the left and our compiled definition on the right, and we'll Control copy, and we'll just paste that into a plain text file, which I prepared here. And this is the format that the script takes. For every entry, you have the entry followed by a tab key, and then on the right side of the tab key you have the definition, and then every entry is separated by a line return. And so by default, by pasting a spreadsheet into a text file, by default it does just that. It separates every row with a line return and every column with a tab. So that's perfect and just what we need. So we'll just paste it and save it as is. Although make sure the encoding says UTF-8, otherwise we'll lose the Tibetan Unicode. And we'll just save it like that and close the file, and we're ready to run the script on it. So the script we're going to use is called PyGlossary. I've left a link in the video notes. This SourceForge page will explain how to use it, but I'll step you through it here. When you download the file, the file will be compressed. The directory will be compressed in a tar.gz folder, and so in order to extract that, you'll need to download 7-zip or another extractor. It's a free lightweight program, but the default Windows extractor won't open that. I think sometimes it's double compressed and you have to do it twice, but when you finish extracting it, it should look like this. You'll have the master folder. There's a bunch of stuff in it, but this is this pyglossary.pyw is what we're going to use. But in order to run it, we need to install Python. Now, don't worry if you don't know Python code very well. You don't need to know Python just to run this script. Just go to if you don't have Python, go to the Python page and download it. Version 3.8 would be fine. I think any 3 or higher will work fine with the script. And install Python, just follow the cues to install it. And then now this part's a little tricky, but I'll step you through it. In order to run the script, we actually need to do this through a command line. So go to search and search for command prompt, and we'll open that. This will open a command line. And then to run the script, we're going to use this line right here. So basically, this is going to be different on your machine because you'll have a different directory name. But you're going to the first part is we'll enter in the path to this python.exe file, and then that'll open Python, and then this will run the script. You actually locate the path to the actual script we're going to use, and there's just a space between the two path names. Then there's another space, and then 2 dashes, UI, which is stands for user interface, equals TK, which is the type of user interface that we'll use. To do this yourself, you'll just need to locate where Python, this Python EX is, and where the PyGlossary script is. To do this, just go to a File Explorer window and just search to find the Python. Just search for python.exe. It might take a couple of minutes. To speed it up, go to the users folder and then search for it. And then, oops, I just reset the search again. But once that's, so it takes a couple of minutes, but once you find it, you can go to the home panel and you can select this copy path button right here, and that will copy the exact path. Let's see if it found it yet. No, it's still working on it. So then, and then for the other one, the script itself, the PyGlossary.pyw, that should also be that should just be in the downloaded folder that you just extracted. So also you can go to that, find the file, and then from the Home tab you can do copy path, and then you can use that to paste that into the pattern right here. See, that was the same one, so you don't need the quote marks. And then the you'll find the python.exe, and you can paste in the path as I did right here, and then take that whole command line and just paste that into the command prompt, and that will run the script, and it will open an interface like this. And from here we can convert the file. So when selecting the read format, we'll do there's a lot of formats here, but the one we're using is just a tab file, a text, because it's a text file separated by tabs. And then we'll write it to the same place, but we'll write to the format dict, because we know this one works well with Goldendict. And then we can select where we want to, we'll just do the desktop, where to save it. Example, I'll call this example. Okay, and then we can run it. Oh, you have to browse the input file, sorry. So it was just on, use glossary example here. So we have our input and output, and we'll convert. And then we can close that. And I need to move them onto the desktop here, but it'll create 3 files like this. And then we can just drop these 3 files into our Goldendict directory, rescan, and it will be available in our next search. As I mentioned in the first video, you can also take a collection of translation memories and transform those into a dict file to search in Goldendict. So for instance, if I had turned on my collection of TMs here and turn everything else off, and search the word Changchup. There's no entry for Changchup, but as I search for the word in the search bar, all of the TMs that contain that word will pop up, so I can see how the word is used in a sentence. And so to create this TM file, I used the same method. I just converted it into a text file, and then using PyGlossary, I converted that into a dict file. And to set up, to convert that, I just did a series of regular expressions, search and replaces, which can be a bit time consuming, though you can do a batch of files at once. And this is what a TMX file looks like. There's some of my other videos on Omega T, explains a little bit about translation memories and TMX files, how you create them on a computer-assisted translation program like SmartCat or Omega T. And then when you complete a translation, you have a record of those translations in a translation memory file. So right now, to create those, you would do a similar thing. You would do some regex search and replaces until you just had the segments separated by a tab return, and then each entry separated by a line, and then you could run the script on it. However, that if you're new to regular expressions, that could be a little tricky. So my plan is to actually create a Python script that will do this automatically. I don't quite have that ready yet, but when it's prepared, I'll paste a link with instructions for how to use it in the video notes, so that you could just plug in a TMX file and then run the script, and then you could use it in Goldendict as well. So that's all it for this video. That's just the methodology I use for creating searchable dictionary files. There might be some better ways, so if you know of an easier technique or a more effective technique, one thing is these star dict files are useful, but they don't allow you to put any hyperlinks directly into the files. So if you know a way to do that, feel free to add some comments to the video below. Otherwise, I hope you find this helpful and useful in some way. Thanks.